Okay, so I'm doing my chapter 2 exam for my physics 1 class, and I had question 7, and for part 7a, it says you throw a ball straight up from the edge of a cliff and leaves your hand moving at 12 meters per second. A resistance can be neglected. Take the positive y direction to be upward and choose y equals 0 to be the point where the ball leaves your hand. Find the ball's position at 0.3 seconds after it leaves your hand. So what I would do would be 0 plus parentheses 12 times 0.3 close parentheses minus 1/2 times 9.8 times 0.3 squared, which equals 3.16 meters. And then for part B, it says state whether the ball is above or below your hand 0.3 seconds after it leaves your hand. And it's gonna be above because it's positive. It's going up in a positive direction. And then for part C, find the y component of the ball's velocity at 0.3 seconds after it leaves your hand. So what I would do would be 12 minus parentheses 9.8 times 0.3, which equals, and then they want for velocity, so I'm put v equals 9.06 meters per second, or you can just round it to 9.1. And then for 7D, it says state whether the ball is moving upward or downward, and it's gonna be upward again because it's going up in a positive direction. And then I wrote it down here. And then for 7E, it says find the ball's position after it leaves your hand. So what I would do for 7E would be 12 times 2.6 minus 1/2 times 9.8 times parentheses 2.6 squared, like that, and then that equals negative 1.924 meters, or you could just put at 1.9. And then for 7F, it says state whether the ball will be below your hand above or below your hand after it leaves your hand. It's going to be below because it's a negative direction. It's going down. And then I'm going to write below because of negative answer. Then 7G says find the y component of the ball's velocity 2.6 seconds after it leaves your hand. So what I would do would be 12 minus 9.8 times 2.6, which equals like that, which equals negative 13.5. And then for 7H, it says state whether the ball is moving upward or downward 2.4 seconds after it leaves your hand. And it's going to be downward because it's like going down in a negative direction. And then this is what I'm writing down. Downward because of negative answer. And then 7I states, you throw a stone down from the top of a tall tower. If it leaves your hand moving at 8 meters per second, air resistance can be neglected. Take the positive y direction to be upward and choose y equals 0 to be the point where the stone leaves your hand. Find the stone's position 1.5 seconds after it leaves your hand. So what I would do would be, I would do parentheses -8 times 1.5 plus 1/2, then parentheses -10, close parentheses, times 1.5 squared, and that equals -23.25 meters. And then for 7J, it says find the y component of the stone's velocity 1.5 seconds after it leaves your hand. So what I would do would be -8 plus parentheses -10 times 1.5, and that equals 1.5, 1.5, and that equals -22.7 meters per second, just like that. And then for 7K, it says find the y component of the stone's velocity when it's 8 meters below your hand. So I would do -8 squared plus 2 times -9.8 times -8, which equals 64 plus 2 times 9.8 times 8, which equals 220.8. And then I would take the square root of 220.8, and that equals -14.86 meters per second. And then for 7L, it says you throw a football straight up. Air resistance can be neglected. When the football is 4 meters above where it left your hand, it is moving upward at 0.5 meters per second. What was the speed of the ball when it left your hand? So what I would do would be 0.5 seconds equals a squared plus 2 times 9.8 times 4, and that equals 8.868 meters per second, or you can round it to 8.7. And then for 7M, it says how much time elapsed from when the football leaves your hand until it's 4 meters above your hand. So I would do 0.5 equals 8.868 minus 9.8 times 4. Oh no, not times 4, I'm sorry. Just minus that. And then I would get 0.85 0.539 seconds. I round it to 0.854 seconds. 7N. You throw a tennis ball straight up. Air resistance can be neglected. The maximum height above your hand that the ball reaches is h. What speed does the ball leave your hand? So what I would do would be 0 squared equals u squared plus 2 minus g parentheses and parentheses h. And then I would get the square root of 2gh, and that would be the answer. And then for 7 circle, it would be, what is the speed of the ball when it is a height of h divided by 2 above your hand? So I would do v squared equals parentheses 2gh close parentheses plus 2 times negative g close parentheses times times h over 2 close parentheses, which equals v, because they're asking for the velocity, v equals the square root of gh. And then for 7p, the last question, at what height above your hand is the speed of the ball half as great as when it left your hand? So 7p, I would do parentheses square root 2gh over 2 close the parentheses squared equals parentheses squared square root of 2gh squared plus 2 minus g s. And then that equals 3 over 4, 2, or parentheses 2g over 2g, close parentheses. And that equals 3h over 4.